Hello and welcome to Wild TV. I'm Johnny Davis.
And I'm Laura Cowley.
Throughout this series we'll be travelling around southern England, capturing awesome slices of nature which you yourself could see. We'll also be visiting some organisations which keep animals and have an active involvement with wildlife conservation.
We'll also be looking at current environmental legislation and seeing how it can be improved for the good of Britain's flora and fauna.
So get yourself a cup of tea and take a seat while we have a look at what Laura got up to when she visited the Sea Life Park in Weymouth.
Weymouth Sea Life Centre is home to two green turtles. Green turtles are the second largest turtles in the world, with females usually being larger than males and weighing on average around 30 stone. Green turtles get their name because underneath their shell is a layer of fat and cartilage which is green, and this was used in a popular dish called turtle soup back in the 20th century. There are two main ways to tell the difference between male and female turtles. The first is that if you look at a male's tail, it's usually longer than a female's, extending past its back flippers, whereas a female's tail will be much shorter than this. The second difference is that males have hooks on their front flippers and they use these to hold onto females during breeding. Males are mature before females, although they both reach an age of 150 years old. Green turtles, when they're young, are suffer as being omnivores, so they eat things in the wild such as shrimp and jellyfish. As they get older, they become strictly herbivores and they only eat different types of seagrass and seaweeds. Turtles are air-breathing reptiles that spend their entire lives at sea, apart from when the female comes ashore in order to lay her eggs. They can hold their breath around 1 to 2 hours depending upon their activity level. A female can travel up to 1,500 kilometres in order to reach a nesting ground, and she'll return to the same beach from where she was born in order to lay her eggs. Egg laying is done at night and around 100 eggs are laid each time the female climbs ashore. The eggs will then hatch on a bright moon night and they'll use this moon in order to navigate their way to the sea. But in places where there's high tourism and lots of other bright lights around, they often get confused and so they may never make it to the sea. Only around 1 in 1,000 hatchlings live to adulthood, and no one quite knows what happens to them within their first year of being born. People often ask, will turtles breed in captivity? This is highly unlikely due to the fact that in the wild, they rely upon a series of environmental stimuluses in order to tell them when to breed.
I'm here at the Seal Sanctuary where Sarah is just about to feed the animals. I'm here at the Seals underwater viewing platform with Sarah. Now Sarah, what was that we saw you doing up there on the beach a minute ago?
Well, we feed the seals 3 times a day here, and every time we feed them we try and do a different form of enrichment.
Okay, what's enrichment?
Environmental enrichment is a way we try and increase the general well-being of our animals. It's aimed to increase the exercise, promote stimulation of the animals, and hopefully it reduces any abnormal behaviours.
So what types of enrichment do you do here at Weymouth Sea Life?
There's lots of them, but we use 3 mainly at the park. We use food enrichment, so we change the food around slightly. We give them toys to play with, novel objects, and we also do hands-on training.
Okay, so I'm guessing what we saw up there on the beach was the hands-on training.
That's right, it's not your average circus tricks, it's more veterinary training, it's more practically based for the general welfare of the animals.
So why is it important then to get up close and actually make contact with the seals?
Well, as you saw, I got Webby to target onto my hand, so that's a good way for me to test her whisker strength. I can also get her to open her mouth on command to inspect her teeth. It's good that we can get that close because then if we have to do any veterinary checks, we've already got a good level of bond between me and the animal.
Okay, so the tricks we saw you doing up there were not so much for public view but more for health purposes than anything.
That's right, if we ever need to do any veterinary treatments for them, there's a good level of trust between trainer and animal.
Okay Sarah, thank you very much.
Here are the main tank at Weymouth Sea Life Centre, there are 3 different types of sharks. There are black-tip reef sharks, zebra sharks and bamboo sharks. Most open ocean sharks breathe by passing waters over their gills as they swim along. So if they stop swimming, then they suffocate. They'll spend their entire lives swimming. Some sharks are especially adapted so they have muscles in their gills which enable them to draw in water so they can breathe while resting on the seabed. Sharks have been swimming in our oceans past 300 million years, and there are 360 different species of sharks. They don't deserve the savage reputation they have, as there are only a handful of shark attacks each year. Whereas if you compare this to the millions of sharks each year that are killed by the fishing industry in the same period, it's a big difference. Some large sharks will take several years to reach maturity. Their populations may never recover from this. One example of the fishing industry is shark finning. Shark finning is a cruel and very wasteful process, so sharks are hauled aboard ships and their fins are cut off. Their consequence is then thrown back into the water where they're left to bleed or drown to death. The only use for these fins is for shark fin soup. Hey, we're in Hamwell in North Somerset to finish the series in style.
That's right, Laura, we've come to witness one of the greatest natural spectacles seen in Britain today, the flocking of the starlings. Hamwell provides the perfect location, offering a newly created wetland home to many rare species, including water voles, otters, kingfishers and bitterns. Smaller than blackbirds with a short tail, pointed head and triangular wings, starlings look black at a distance, but when seen closer they are very glossy with a sheen of purples and greens. Starlings spend a lot of the year in flocks. Still one of the commonest of garden birds, its decline elsewhere makes it an IUCN Red List species. You can get out there and see them yourself, as they're widespread in the UK, occurring everywhere except for the highest parts of the Scottish Highlands. They are most abundant in southern England and more thinly distributed in upland areas with moorland. Flock sizes vary during the year, being smallest during the breeding season and largest in winter, when numbers are augmented by migrants from the north. The flock permits more efficient feeding since each bird can afford to be less vigilant. The greater vigilance of the flock gives each member a greater protection from predators. So, a perfect example of safety in numbers. Just as fish swim in shoals for safety, starlings flock to confuse predators such as sparrowhawks and buzzards. By bunching tightly and swirling and squawking furiously, they'll confuse and alarm any predator. Then, they all go together to look for somewhere to roost in order to be sheltered from the wind. During the winter, starlings live in flocks throughout the day, travelling between feeding sites. Day roosts are normally exposed places such as tops of trees, where the birds have a good all-round visibility. Starlings feed up to 20 miles from their winter roost, but return each evening. In late afternoon, feeding flocks coalesce into progressively larger flocks as they move toward the roost. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for in this episode of Wild. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.